Welcome back to Foundations in Pre-Cal 10. I'm your host, Mrs. Clausen. Today we are going to take a peek at conversions involving the imperial system. So we are going to do some questions where we need to go from, say, meters to feet or feet to inches, but we're going to be walking back and forth between those things. So I'm going to show you two different methods that you can use to do these questions, and you can choose whichever one you like better, but you can use a proportion, or you can use what we like to call a conversion fraction. So I'm going to go through both of those with you, and you can pick your favorite. So before we get started, make sure that you have your conversion sheet, your formula sheet out, because you need to know these numbers off of there, and they are all listed there for you. So make sure you grab that, grab a calculator, and you should be ready to go. So I'm going to show you the first method I'm going to show you is the conversion fraction. Now, I like this method because if it's more than a one step to get between point A and point B, like if I need to go from, say, inches to miles or miles to inches or something like that, there isn't a direct number on your sheet, so it would be a more than one step conversion. And I like this because we can show it all in one step instead of having to do multiple calculations. So I'm going to go through this one first of all. So our steps are that we write down the given number, and then we set up what we call a conversion fraction, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then we make sure we put that in there so that my units are going to cancel away, do the math, and we can set up multiple fractions at once, okay? So this first question is 5 yards into feet. So we start off by writing down what we were given, which is our 5 yards. And now we're going to set it up as a fraction. Now I know that you say you hate fractions, but just bear with me for this, okay? So we go to our sheet and we find the conversion factor, which says that 1 yard equals 3 feet, okay? Can you find that on there? So what we know is that this is a true statement. We're going to set it up, instead of writing it side to side, we're going to write it up and down, right? Because these are equivalent statements. So if I divide 3 feet by 1 yard, I actually just get 1. And I can multiply by 1. But it's important that when we write it here, that we set up these fractions so that our units will cancel away. So we know that 7 divide 7 is 1, 9 divide 9 is 1, 12 divide 12 is 1. We also know that yards divide yards is 1. So over here, I've got yards on the top. So when I set up my conversion, I'm going to need to make sure that I put yards in the bottom so that they're opposite of one another and they cancel away. Okay, so I'm going to have yards in the bottom and my other unit is the feet. And then I put my numbers in with those. So I know that 3 feet is 1 yard. So I know which way to set it up. And the reason I do that is because now my yards cancel away and I'm left with feet, right? You want to have what you want to solve for in the top of your conversion fraction. So now I just do the math. 5 times 3 is 15. So I know that 5 yards is 15 feet. Okay, let's look at another example, which says 7 yards into inches. Now this is why I really like those conversion fractions, because there is not a direct conversion on your sheet that says yards going into inches. So I'm going to write down what I have, and then I'm going to have to kind of map it out. So I don't have something going directly from yards, but I need to get closer to it. So we know that yards is a bigger value, so we're going to go down. So we know that we have 3 feet in a yard. So we could go to feet, and then we have 12 inches in a foot, okay? So I'm at yards. I'm going to set up using this same conversion fraction up here. I want my yards to go on the bottom, my feet to go on the top, because I want my yards to cancel away. So 1 yard is 3 feet. Okay, if I look only at my units, my yards would go away. And if I did the math, I would have feet. I'm not quite done because I want to get to inches. So I'm going to set up another fraction. This is why I like it. We can just keep going in the same question. Now I'm at feet. I want to get to inches. So I'm going to put my feet on the bottom and my inches on the top. And I know that 1 foot is 12 inches. Looking only at my units, my feet cancel away. So now I can just go ahead and do the math. So I've got 7 times 3 times 12, which is 252 inches. Okay, so we can write the word inches or the quotation mark. So we could say 252, and then that's another way of writing inches like that. Okay, so that's option one, is to use these conversion fractions. This is the way that I'm going to do it most often because, like I said, I like it. We're going to get into harder math where we might have to go more than one step, and so I like it that way. The second method is using a proportion. So you may have learned this way in WA10. It 100% works. If you want to keep going, please do. So we just have to make sure when we set up our proportion, so we're going 5 yards into feet. So the way that I like to do it is I go 5 yards is equal to X feet. That's our unknown. Then we're going to make fractions again, and we take our conversion factor, which is the 3 feet, 1 yard. We need to make sure that we have them the same size. So I'm going to put my yards here. 1 yard is 3 feet. There's lots of ways you can set up proportions. And then we cross multiply. So when I do that, X times 1 is X. 5 times 3 is 15. So I have 15 feet. Okay, go ahead and do that. We can also go yards to inches. The problem is here is that because I don't have that direct conversion, I do need to plan it out, and I'm going to have to do more than one calculation. So I can go 7 yards, and I have to kind of plan ahead that I'm going to need to go into feet. So is equal to X feet. We know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So when I cross multiply, X times 1 is X. 7 times 3 is 21. So I get X is equal to 21 feet. Now the problem is I'm not done yet, so I need to keep going, right? So then I would set up another proportion that says 21 feet equals X inches. And I know that there are 1 foot is 12 inches. So when I cross multiply, X times 1 is X, and 21 times 12 is my 252. So I get X is equal to 252 inches. Okay, so that is kind of the instructional piece of it. Watch part 2 to go through the examples together.